One of the most common questions I get asked every single week is how can I move from where I am today to financial freedom through property in the future?
Now, the first step on a journey to financial freedom is the accumulation phase, which is really just a fancy word for the part of the process where you're going to be buying the properties that in the future, once owned outright, will actually provide you with a nice, steady passive income. So for me, when I set this goal, I set a pretty lofty target in the future to try and replace $100,000 worth of passive income in the beginning. And what I decided to do was go out there and buy a couple of really high quality houses in great locations with some value add potential. So the first property that I picked up in this accumulation phase was a little 3-bed, 1-bath Queenslander home in the north side of Brisbane for only $380,000. Now,
The good old days.
this is the good old days back in 2018 when values were super cheap up there in North Brisbane. And now my neighbouring property has just recently sold over $650,000 and I'm renting the property out for $465 per week at the moment, which based on my debt level on that property, it's actually neutrally geared at the moment as well. So short term, it's not really causing me any stress on holding that property.
Now, the reason you bought that home wasn't to keep like a 60 or 70-year-old home rented $400 a week and falling down around you. It was more of a strategic buy. So you nailed the location, you nailed the timing, but what's your plan for the property moving forward?
Absolutely. We know $465 isn't going to really help in my journey to financial freedom. So the real value is the location. And what I'm planning to do when I can afford it is to just bulldoze the house, scrape back the land, and actually build a brand new dual occupancy house. So what I'm planning on doing is building a nice, low maintenance, high set brick and tile home where I'll have hopefully like a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a study. And then under the same roof line, but completely separate, another 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom granny flat. And I'll be able to rent those out completely separately for a price over $1,000 per week upon completion of that build. So that's my strategy for that particular property. And then for the second home, I just rinse and repeated that exact same strategy.
Awesome, bro. So you've got those 2 homes, which each in the future should be able to rent for $1,000 per week today. $1,000 a week times 2 is $2,000 times 50 weeks a year. We're talking $100K per year. And then with inflation of maybe 2.5% per year for the next 15 years, I don't know what the numbers are because I don't have my compound growth calculator on me, but I'd be assuming it's going to be more than $125,000 per year.
After buying those 2 properties, I then met my wife and we started talking about our future and kids and we started running our numbers and I just didn't think that 100K was going to give me the lifestyle that I wanted by the time I was financially free. So we actually changed our strategy a little bit to add a 3rd dual income property into that portfolio in the hope to try and get to like $140,000 or $150,000 worth of passive income in the future. And that's life, right? It changes. You never know what's going to happen. You just got to be willing to adapt to those changes when they come up and still move toward where you want to be.
I love that. So the second step in the journey is what we call consolidation. But as Simon said before, it is much simpler than that. It's simply where you pay off the assets or the properties that you own so that you can get financial freedom in the future.
Now, for me, unfortunately, I haven't got to that consolidation phase yet because I'm still adding some value to those properties. And until I've got them set and forget and performing the way that I want them to, I won't be moving to that consolidation phase. But I know that you've been working on this recently. So what are some of the tools and tricks that you're using at the moment to try and pay down some of the debt?
Cool. I wish there was like a trick. But paying up debt is just a slog, man. It's boring. It's so slow, especially for those of us and you guys that just love property. In the phase that I'm in now, which is I would call financial peace, I have the assets today that are going to give me that income of a couple of $100,000 a year of passive income in 15, 20, 25 years once I pay off the debt. And so what I'm doing in terms of process is just getting very, very, very consistent. So the first thing I went and did is I got all of the income from all of my investment properties paid into one offset account. And now I get all of the expenses from all of my properties paid out of that account. So it's more like a bit of a business now. It's like a profit and loss. And in real time, every day I can log in and see where that property business is at. But from there's 4 big things that I'm doing in my consolidation phase. So the first is principal and interest on all of the debt. I go between interest only and principal and interest regularly based on how the market's performing, how much fear there is, how much uncertainty, and my personal cash flow position. Another one that I do is contribute a little bit extra per week. So since I started investing 13 years ago, I've always paid myself first. Sometimes it's been $50 a week. Other times it's been a couple of $1,000 a week. But what I've done with that money was always save it for my next property, my next build, or my next reno. But now that I'm not doing that, I'm literally just paying it straight into the offset account or off the home loan to wipe debt.
What are some of the other little tips that you would use to pay down some debt?
For my strategy, some of my properties are really old and have been slightly renovated. Other properties that I own are like brand new or a few years old. And so I've always just worked with BMT tax depreciation, and they produced a tax depreciation report, which I give to my accountant. So the third idea is, using any tax benefits that the Australian government gives at the moment for investors. And instead of taking that $5,000 or $8,000 or 10 grand a year in tax benefit and just spending it on a jet ski or something, I just pay it straight off the debt. And I've done that consistently over the entire journey I've had as an investor. And then the last one is, as the debt goes down on the properties, and the rent goes up, which I think you were saying in another video today, rents across Australia's capital cities have gone up, 20% since the start of COVID?
Over 20% in the 3 major metro markets around Australia. So Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane.
Yeah. So like, for example, if my debt's $400K, but I'm getting $800 a week in rent, even with interest and principal, in some instances, I may be scraping some passive income on the top. And those 4 simple ideas can save you a significant amount of time in the long-term outcome associated with the property. There's one other idea that you and I, call partner properties. Do you want to sort of explain that?
No, by the time you get to this part of your journey to financial freedom, you're going to have a lot of experience as an investor now, buying a couple of properties, maybe more if you've got a bit of a higher goal that you're working toward in the future. So something that I'm going to use 100% once I get to the consolidation phase is just these partner properties or essentially continuing investing. However, I'll probably change my strategy to more short-term capital growth focused assets where I can, maybe do a project, whether that be a renovation, a knockdown rebuild, potentially a subdivision if I can stomach that one. And if I make some profits, just use those profits to pay down some of the debt. So rather than, delaying the gratification and using all of these tips, you can also continue investing and using your knowledge and your skills and your team of advisors to your advantage. These are the ones that we're personally using in our consolidation phase, but there's so many other options. There's so many other ways that you can increase your income or invest in other assets to try and speed up the consolidation phase so you own those properties outright as soon as possible. You could start a side hustle, an e-commerce business. You could pick up a second job. If you're a young person, then you're likely to increase your income as your career evolves. You could maybe invest in crypto. You could invest in the stock market. There's so many ways to make money in this world these days, which, makes that consolidation phase difficult and challenging and overwhelming, but exciting at the same time.
100% agree. Like, my only idea for people would be to just stay in a lane. Now, for Simon and I, because we're property guys, we've got our foundation, like a couple of properties that we'll own outright in the future. And then we do a partner property because that's what we know. So for you, it's like looking at your strengths, what you enjoy, and how you can make additional money to pay off debt. And instead of like trying to pick everything, just getting obsessive about one thing for 10 years, and you'll end up much, much better because of that.
But then once you finish step 2, which will take the average Australian 15 to 20 years, it may take some people a little bit longer depending on your stage of life, you're there. This is the freedom phase. So pat yourself on the back. You've slogged it away for a long period of time to, make your dream a reality. And at this point in time, hopefully you've got choices. Hopefully you can live life on your own terms and do what it is that you were truly put on this planet to do.
I think choices are so important, especially as someone with 3 kids, like the choice to spend more time with the people you care about, train more, surf more, travel more, work with charities, start that business, leave that career or that job that's not serving you. Be there for your friends, be there for your family in like a meaningful way. And as Simon said, like, find out the reason that you're here and show up as your best self in this lifetime. For me, like the journey to financial freedom has been difficult at times, but it's also been so much fun. And we really wanted to communicate that you don't just have to like smash it away for the next 15 or 20 years in the pursuit of this like goal that is going to make you happy. You can absolutely love every step of the way and really lean into the things that you value. So for those of you out there who are seriously thinking about taking those steps this year, buying those investments that are going to set you up for longer term financial freedom and financial peace very soon, then we would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. Please jump over to the website, www.pumpedonproperty.com, click the free strategy session button, and we can talk about where you are today, your vision for your future and your goals. We can educate you on the market and where it's at the moment. And then you can either take that with a grain of salt and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the extremely small number of clients that we take on each month. But either way, we absolutely wish you all the best on your journey. Financial freedom is really 3 simple steps. Accumulate the properties that will make you free in the future, consolidate or pay them off, and live your highest and best life while you're young enough to enjoy it.
Woo! That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That's cool, bro. Yeah. Oh, sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good. That's so nice, eh? Oh.